This is the most interesting card we've gotten in years. Roll the intro. What is going on, everybody? Hitmonchan here, back again for another Pokemon trading card game video. Today, I wanted to talk about the newly revealed Regidrago VSTAR. I am so excited for this card. It's super unique, and this deck is going to be so much fun to play because there's so many different cards you can pair Regidrago with. So I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time. We're going to get right into it. Regidrago V. Nothing to write home about. We don't really need to know anything. Its first attack is okay. You can discard the top 3 cards of your deck and attach energy to Regidrago. If you have to go second and it's in the active, you know, not terrible, not terrible. However, the VSTAR is the card that we want to pay attention to. Regidrago VSTAR, 280 HP for a grass, and a fire energy. Dragon's Dream, I believe the attack is called. And basically, you can copy the attack of any dragon-type Pokemon in your discard pile. That is absolutely insane. It's really cool because dragon-type Pokemon, a lot of them have very awkward energy costs, and it's very difficult to make a dragon deck work. But thanks to the Lost Zone engine and Mirage Gate, you can actually power up Regidrago pretty simply. You know, Giratina's proven itself to be pretty good. Guja's proven itself to be pretty good. So, in theory, Regidrago will be good with this engine as well because you can just power it up with Mirage Gate. And we are playing 4 Comfey, you know, we're playing a Cramorant, playing 4 Chloros Experiment. We're playing a bunch of the Lost Zone cards in this deck because we want to get this Regidrago up and running. Now, for my list, this current one, I'm going to be playing the Lost Zone engine. However, you can also play this card with Gardenia's Vigor because Regidrago has double grass and fire for the attack cost. So theoretically, if you have a lot of switching options and you got Gardenia's and a lot of grass energy, you can actually power up Regidrago in 1 turn with Gardenia and bring it into the active, and then boom, just start attacking with it and not even need to worry about all that Lost Zone stuff. And it frees up some space in the deck. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my build and why I decided to go with it, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the other build that I've seen people kind of come up with and give my thoughts on that as well. So we're going to do a little bit of a 2-in-1 today with Regidrago VSTAR. So before I get into my actual list, I wanted to cover the attackers. I think that the ability to pair this Pokemon with essentially any other Pokemon and ignore that Pokemon's attack cost specifically is really powerful. Now, who did I choose? Well, I think there's a couple obvious ones. There's Hisuian Gudra VSTAR and Giratina VSTAR. These are pretty obvious, you know, dragon-type Pokemon. Rolling Iron, very strong attack, 200 flat, and then you can resist 80 damage during your next turn. And then Giratina VSTAR has Lost Impact, which does 280 damage. You put 2 energy in the Lost Zone. And it also has, this is very important, the Star Requiem VSTAR power, but that VSTAR power is an attack. So you can actually use Star Requiem if you meet the conditions of all these cards in the Lost Zone and all that. You can actually use the attack if you haven't used your VSTAR power already, which is really cool. We're going to jump back to Regidrago VSTAR really quick. The VSTAR power is okay. You can discard the top 7 cards of your deck and then I believe pick 2 and put them in your hand. So that's really good if you want to get your Dragon Pokemon into the discard pile. So pretty good VSTAR power as well. And for some other attackers, we have Garchomp V in here. It has the, I believe, Sonic Strike attack. You can discard 3 energy from this Pokemon and deal 220 damage anywhere on the board. So pretty strong attack, and it kind of limits your need for boss's orders because you can just target something down as long as there's no mana fee in play. So Garchomp V, really strong. And we have 3 other dragon type attackers in this deck. Our next one is going to be the new Dragonite that was also revealed from Silver Tempest. That's our set. Incandescent Arcana, I believe. No, one of the other Japanese sets anyway. That Dragonite that just got revealed, it has an attack, you know, 180 damage, and you can basically search for 3 basic energy and attach it to your Pokemon. So it's a good way to power up the other Regidragos. If you know you're slapping 180 is a solid number to 2-shot anything. So if you need to get another Regidrago ready, you just start powering it up with Dragonite. And then our 2 other attackers are going to be Dialga from Evolving Skies, and Duraludon VMAX from Evolving Skies. Now, this Dialga, you might be thinking, why is this important? Like, what is the purpose of this card? Well, the Chrono Wind attack, it does 80 damage, and it states if the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon V, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So this is something I think that is really, really strong right now, because we have a lot of good single prize decks, such as Lost Box and Regis, but majority of the powerful decks are V-focused decks. And think about the decks that really pose a threat to Regidrago. You know, the decks that can hit that perfect number super easily. Kyurem VMAX, Giratina VSTAR, those are to name a few. So being able to just stop those Pokemon from actually attacking with Chrono Wind, if they don't have any retreat options or switching options, there's not much they can do, and you can kind of just stall out the game and win just like that. So that's very, very powerful. And then our very last attacker, Duraludon VMAX, we play for the G-Max Pulverization attack. It does 220, but the good thing about this is it is a shred attack. So if you don't want to use Garchomp's attack and discard 3 energy from Regidrago, you can use Duraludon VMAXs on the active, and it goes through things like Miltank, it goes through things that wall out certain Pokemon. So really, really cool to have the Duraludon in here as well. And for other Pokemon, we have one Cramorant, we have a Radiant Charizard. I think that's kind of a natural pairing because of the fire energy that's already needed in this deck. And then we also have a Manaphy, you know, just to protect our 4 Comfey from getting KO'd by those pesky Radiant Greninjas. And for the rest of the deck, it's pretty straightforward. We play 4 Colress, 2 Boss, 1 Roxanne, for our supporter counts, and actually 1 Thornton as well. And now my reasoning behind the Thornton is Garchomp V is actually a Pokemon you don't mind starting with because it has a free retreat cost. And now, even let's say you start with something like Dialga, something like Manaphy, you can actually play with your Comfey and not even need to have a Regidrago in play. You can actually keep it in the discard pile. And then when you're ready, Thorn it into the active spot or wherever, Mirage Gate to it, play your Regidrago V-Star, use your V-Star power, you know, get a bunch of Dragon Pokemon in the discard, and then start swinging with your attack. So Thorn, I think, is really, really cool in this deck, and it stops you from kind of having that, like, oh, I started with Dialga and now I can't get it out of the active, or I started with whatever, and I can't get it out of the active, right? Like, I started with Cram and I don't want it to get KO'd, you know, or like whatever. You don't want to lose those prizes. Or you can even say do the same thing with Charizard. You can start getting a sneaky Charizard up by keeping that Garchomp V in place, for example, and then boom, Thornton, Radiant Charizard, attach that fire energy, and then retreat, and boom, 250 out of nowhere. So Thornton's a really, really cool tech card in this deck. We also have 4 Battle VIP, 2 Quick Ball, 2 Ultra Ball for Mirage Gate, 4 Scoop Up, 1 Ordinary Rod, 2 Switch to Balloon, and 1 Rope. And now for the energy count, I have 6 Grass and 5 Fire, but I'm leaning towards going 7 Grass and 4 Fire, just because Regidrago only needs 1 Fire to attack. And so you want to be hitting your Grass energies more often. Especially if you're going to be having to Lost Zone some stuff along the way. So that is the, you know, methodology behind this deck. And there are a lot of really cool attackers you can throw in here. Had a little bit of a recording glitch there, but I was saying there's a lot of cool attackers you can pair Regidrago with. If you go and look at the Evolving Skies set list, there are a lot of cool Dragon-type Pokemon in there that haven't received a lot of love because they're stage 2s or they're difficult to use or whatever. So Regidrago is really awesome in the sense that depending on how the meta changes, some older cards can actually be very useful. Like, you know, if, for example, we have a new huge ability meta, we already kind of do with Comfey, Flapple could be super, super good because you can just, for free basically, you know, because it's Regidrago's attack, if all of your opponent's Pokemon have abilities, you can just Flapple for like 300 damage, right? And it can be a surprise card out of nowhere. Like, that's something worth considering putting into this deck. So having all of the options are really, really cool. And the reason I wanted to go with a Lost Zone build over something like a Gardenia build for like my primary way to play this deck is because you can actually like utilize Star Requiem, as I was saying earlier, and the whole kind of synergy with the Lost Zone, having Giratina like utilize the Lost Zone, is I don't know, it's just a lot nicer. It's a little bit more consistent, and you can use this VSTAR power if you needed to in a pinch, right? Like, it's just an extra option that you have. However, if you take out the Comfey Colress engine or whatever, take out all that, and you can replace it with like a Gardenia engine. Just keep a lot of switching options in there, and then you have Gardenia as your 4 of supporter, and then maybe like energy searches or something like that to help find your energy. Just make sure you got them in hand, because you don't need those Mirage Gates, you don't need those Colresses, you don't need those scoop up nets. Like, you don't need a lot of cards, don't even need any mana fee in the deck when you make that switch. And you can even free up a lot more room for some attackers, like, because most of the good ones are second stage, and you don't need to play the base fee, so you can just not have to start with them, throw them in the discard, and then be on your way. Like, another attacker that I considered putting in this deck is Flygon V, because it does 320 damage to VMAX Pokemon. It instantly knocks out Mew and Kyurem. Those are like two pretty strong decks right now in the format. So throwing that Flygon in here could be really, really powerful. Like, if you don't need that Giratina because you're already doing a lot of damage with Duraludon, or you don't need Duraludon because you already have that 220 with Garchomp, right? So you can really play around with the different Pokemon in this deck, and I really, really like that. And who knows, we're down the line, we might get some really awesome Dragon-type Pokemon with Scarlet and Violet, and with even our Sword and Shield special set, you know? Might get some really cool cards that come out. So I think Regidrago is absolutely worth keeping on your radar, and this is the full list that I am rocking with right now for this deck. I might change it to a Gardenia build. It might be better, might be worse, you know. The Lost Zone engine, I feel, starts to get a little bit stale after a while, and I played Goodra for a bit, and it was fun. It wasn't my build wasn't what's it called, the most consistent as I would like it, but it was really, really fun to play. I'm gonna revisit it in the future for sure. So this kind of Dragon type deck, it might be more up my alley, but we will see. And after all that, thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below, what do you think about this deck? What do you like about Regidrago? What do you dislike? What would you keep, and what would you change about this list? I want to know specifically what attackers you would put into this deck, because I think that it's really, really, like, it's a really fun idea, and it's a lot like Mew and Mewtwo Tag Team GX, right? It's like it can just copy any attack from the Pokemon in the discard pile. So this one has to be specifically Dragon, but you don't need the attack cost, which is the really important thing. You just need Regidrago's attack cost. So really, really strong. I think this card is going to be something that you need to keep on your radar for sure. And yeah, so after all that is said and done, oh, I forgot to remind you, subscribe to the channel. I have 2 Pokemon trading card game videos coming out every single week. Constant coverage on the Hitmonchan channel. Decks, deck techs, gameplay videos, Pokemon news, everything like that, all on this channel. So if you like the Pokemon TCG, you would love to subscribe here and turn on that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And now, with all that said and done, Hitmonchan out.